Before spending $70 on a bottle of NMN, it's worth understanding what actually happens to the molecule between the moment you swallow it and the moment NAD+ appears in your cells. The metabolic pathway is not as direct or as premium feeling as the marketing suggests, and for a meaningful proportion of the NMN you consume, the destination may be functionally indistinguishable from what you'd get from inexpensive niacin. NMN is a relatively large molecule. Research indicates that it cannot be absorbed across the intestinal wall intact in significant quantities under normal conditions. Instead, enzymes in the gut cleave NMN into smaller components, primarily nicotinamide, which is chemically related to niacin and shares its metabolic downstream pathways. A substantial portion of what you ingest as NMN may be converted to nicotinamide before it even enters your bloodstream. From there, nicotinamide travels to the liver and other tissues where it's reassembled into NAD+ through the salvage pathway, the same pathway that niacin's metabolites use. The scenario that emerges for many people much of the time is this: you pay for premium NMN, it gets degraded to nicotinamide in your digestive tract. Nicotinamide follows pathways that substantially overlap with niacin's metabolic route, and NAD+ is produced through processes that basic niacin could have initiated for a fraction of the cost. The molecular Uber, as it were, may be taking you on the same route as the bus. There are nuances worth acknowledging. Tissue specificity matters. The liver processes NAD+ precursors differently than muscle tissue, the brain, or the gut lining. Some research suggests that different precursors may favor different tissues. NR, for instance, shows evidence of preferential uptake in certain compartments. Whether these tissue-specific differences translate into meaningfully different health outcomes for most people remains unproven in long-term human trials. The concept of pathway saturation is also relevant here. When you flood the NAD+ synthesis pathway with large amounts of any single precursor, you may hit enzymatic bottlenecks where additional substrate simply cannot be converted efficiently. This is a basic principle of biochemistry that applies regardless of which precursor you're using. Megadosing NMN doesn't necessarily produce proportionally more NAD+ than a moderate dose of niacin. The rate-limiting steps in the pathway may impose a ceiling that makes the precursor choice less consequential than the dose. The uncomfortable bottom line for the NMN market is that the molecular sophistication of the product does not guarantee superior outcomes in the body. Until large, well-designed human trials demonstrate that NMN produces meaningfully higher NAD+ levels than niacin at equivalent cost points, the premium is not scientifically defensible for most consumers. The pathway that matters is the one producing NAD+ in your cells, not the one printed on the label.